Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And in today's video, we'll be talking about the horoscope for the month of April 2023. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So up on the screen here is a depiction of the different transits that are going to take place during this month of April. And this is a huge month as we are going to have a solar eclipse along with Jupiter finally making its way into the sign of Aries. We have a lot of activity mainly happening within the sign of Aries. So especially for those of you who have a cardinal sign or one of the Kendra signs, or if you have a fire sign, then this is going to be a major month for you. So starting off here, we have a full moon in the Hasta Nakshatra. So this is definitely a time of letting go. The full moon we know is all about bringing things to a place of completion. And Hasta, especially as it is signified by a hand or a fist, is about grasping onto things. So this full moon is all about letting go of those tight attachments that you have that are no longer serving you. The sign of Virgo, as we know, is ruled by Mercury. So there's a lot of analysis, a lot of intellectual powers that are within this sign of Virgo. So this especially is about letting go of anything that you are worrying about, that you are trying to predict that might happen, really getting out of that space of anxiety and overanalyzing, letting go of all of those worries and concerns that no longer serve you. Following this, Venus will enter into its own sign of Taurus on the same day here on the 6th of April. So Venus feels very comfortable in the sign of Taurus. However, when Venus comes into Taurus, it will be hemmed by the Sun and Mars. So this is a bit of a difficult position for Venus to be, as the Sun is definitely an enemy of Venus and Mars is a malefic. So it is in a position where it is being hemmed or restricted by two malefics. So this is a little bit of a difficult period for relationships. You want to be very careful about how you are approaching relationships, not allowing anger or ego to get into the way of your connections. It's very important at this time. This can definitely be a time where you feel like you are stuck in a situation that you can't resolve. As this continues, though, this gets better. Venus being here in its own sign of Taurus, once again, is an excellent position. So as Venus comes out of this hemming by the Sun and Mars, this is definitely going to make relationships very peaceful, very well grounded. You can have a great deal of conversation and communication to work out any sort of conflicts. This is also an excellent time for family, as the sign of Taurus is connected to our early childhood and our sense of family and community. For some of you, Venus can also help you in the area of wealth and business, as Taurus is a very entrepreneurial sign. And Venus, of course, is all about the luxuries of life. So this is an excellent placement. Once again, Venus feels very much at home here in Taurus, so giving you a great sense of comfort and happiness. Following this, on the 14th, the Sun will enter into the sign of Aries. So Sun feels exalted in Aries, especially within the first asterism of Ashwini. So right away, coming into this energy of Sun and Aries, there is a lot of strong energies coming in. This can definitely be a time of feeling a boost in your energy levels for some of you, and really getting a feeling of confidence, of charisma, of really feeling that you are in control of things and moving forward, having that forward momentum. Following this, on the 20th, we will have a solar eclipse. And of course, the solar eclipse is a very inauspicious time, as an eclipse is always where we have a shadow body that is covering up one of our luminaries. So the darkness is blocking out the sun during the eclipse. And in this case, this will be Rahu, which is covering up the sun. So this is definitely a time to not act hastily coming into this solar eclipse. This especially being in the nakshatra of Ashwini, you want to be very careful of any sort of ego issues or any sort of impulsiveness. Ashwini is all about speed. So you want to make sure that you are thinking through all of your decisions during this eclipse. Following this, on the 21st, we will have Mercury entering into the sign of Aries retrograde. So this will actually station in the nakshatra of Bharani. So as Mercury comes retrograde here, this is always, of course, a time of review, of going over everything, making sure that you're not missing out on any of the details. But as Mercury is here in Aries, this is creating a bit of a conflict here, as Mars is not happy with Mercury, and Mercury has come into the house of Mars. So this is definitely a time to not be impulsive about your decision making. There's all of this passion and intensity that is here in Aries, where you can make quick decisions and jump ahead without thinking it through. And Bharani, where this retrograde will take place, of course, is known as the star of restraint. So there is a need for self-restraint coming into this Mercury retrograde. Once again, not making hasty decisions, but finding a sense of patience and discipline is very important. Later on the 21st, we will finally see Jupiter entering into the sign of Aries. So we've been waiting for this transit for some time now. And Jupiter, of course, is friends with Mars. So this is a very positive transit as Jupiter comes into Aries. But this is not quite like Jupiter was in its own sign of Pisces, where it was more of a hermit, more of a mystic going inward. But here in Aries, Jupiter is very active, very adventurous, very ambitious. So this is a very fiery energy. This is definitely a time of being more outgoing, of being more focused on achieving your goals and pushing forward in life. This is encouraging you to live your life to the fullest and to incorporate a sense of excitement and activity in through this Jupiter in Aries. You do want to be careful though, because as Jupiter comes into the sign of Aries, it will come into a conjunction with Rahu. So Rahu tends to blow things out of proportion. And Jupiter, of course, is already a planet of expansion. So you want to be very careful about over expanding in the area where Jupiter is placed within your natal chart. At the same time, Jupiter can help to pacify some of the negative effects of Rahu. So for those of you who have been struggling with this Rahu transit, Jupiter coming in here will bless you in this area where Rahu is positioned. So let's go ahead and talk about how this month of April will affect each of you according to your moon sign or ascendant sign. And just a quick disclaimer, I am using Vedic Sidereal astrology. So I am not using Western tropical astrology. You want to make sure that you have the correct information so that you get the right interpretation. If you are not sure what your sidereal signs are, there is a calculator down below in the description where you can find out that information. So starting off with Aries. The first major transit here will be a full moon in your 6th house. Once again in the nakshatra of Hasta, which is all about grasping onto things, grasping onto information, grasping onto things physically, accumulating things. And so as it comes into the 6th house, this is definitely a time of letting go. The 6th house is all about illnesses, all about your daily activities. So this is time to break an old habit. This full moon here may get you interested in dieting or decluttering your home. This could be a time of also dealing with some debts, clearing out some conflicts and resolving some legal issues in this area, and making some adjustments and improvements around your health and your everyday routine. So again, a major time of clearing things out that no longer serve you. We will also see Venus entering into the 2nd house of your chart. So this is definitely a time where you are feeling more extravagant, more luxurious. You are wanting to enjoy yourself. You want to be careful with your diet though, because Venus is all about sweets. So pay very close attention to your sweet intake at this time. Venus here can also get you very much interested in your looks and appearance. That 2nd house is about your face. So some of you getting really into cosmetics, really into your style, your appearance at this time. And this can also help you in your relationships as well, as Venus is ruling over the 2nd house of your family and the 7th house of your relationships. Of course, Venus is Marka for your chart, so you want to be careful in this area. Sweet, polite, kindness in your speech is very important when dealing with others, especially as K2 is still sitting there in your 7th house. We'll also see the sun, which is entering into your first house. Very auspicious transit. The sun, of course, is your fifth house lord, bringing back past good deeds. So a lot of luck coming to you through this sun transit, especially as sun is exalted in your first house. Very powerful. This is a time where you can have a bit of a glow up, where you are feeling more confident, where you are paying more attention to your looks and coming off to others in a very positive way. You can receive a lot of respect. Others can feel inspired by you as the sun comes into this first house. You are feeling energized, more powerful, more ambitious at this time. However, shortly after this, we will see the solar eclipse there in your first house as well. So during this short period of this eclipse, you want to make sure that you are remaining ethical in all of your actions and that you're not trying to dominate over others. Keeping your ego in check is very important, as Rahu can negatively impact the sun here in your first house. We'll also see Mercury stationing retrograde in your first house as well. So this is definitely a time where you can see some things coming back to you from your past. And this can come through in almost any situation of your life, as it is here in this first house, which is the general foundation of your life. So many past scenarios coming back to you. But as Mercury rules over your third and sixth house, you could have some obstacles and challenges that are returning back. So some old situations that need to be resolved, that need to come to a space of closure, very important at this time. And these can be issues around siblings, legal issues, health issues, some of these areas coming back to you, some past rivals. So definitely this is about resolving all of those conflicts. You could even have some difficulties with this Mercury retrograde around vehicles, transportation, and some issues within your immediate environment. So this is definitely a time where you don't want to make any kind of impulsive decisions or to let your anger get the best of you. This is definitely a time to really take your time to review everything. Following this, of course, is the main event of Jupiter entering into your first house. So this is excellent. Jupiter has been back in your 12th house for some time now, where some of you have suffered some expenses and losses and some difficulties around health as well. But as Jupiter comes into the first house, this is going to bring to you a great sense of optimism, of happiness, of joy. You're looking towards the future now. You're having more of a positive outlook. Jupiter in this first house can give you a lot of opportunities and blessings as well, especially as Jupiter is your ninth house lord, bringing you a lot of good fortune and protection. Jupiter in this first house can give you a lot of guidance as well, and bringing to you a great deal of spiritual wisdom that some of you may have been working towards while Jupiter was back in that 12th house. So this is ultimately a positive transit here. This can help your health as well as Jupiter comes into the first house. You do want to be careful about overindulgence though. Jupiter here can expand everything about this first house.